Hi guys, Ron here. Today I want to talk about a question that I've been asked quite a lot recently, and many people are very curious about the training I do, also the nutrition, some other principles. I have to tell you straight away that there are no shortcuts or some special magic techniques that I use in order to become fitter. A bit of a history from my riding. I first got on a road bike on December 2014. So that was the very first time I actually rode a road bike and owned one. And I used it just for sort of recreational purposes. And I really started riding and training. That's the most important thing, because just because you're riding doesn't mean you're training. So the first training I've done began in January 2016. So yeah, this is my background, and I'm starting my second real race season and third season that I'm training on the bike properly. So what do you need in order to become fit? So I think there's no real discussion here, and I don't really want you to comment on this if you don't agree, because it's just completely apparent. Everyone uses it. Yeah, a power meter. Without that, you're not going to go very far in the world of cycling and racing. Or, well, if you put a lot of time in it, then you may become quite good, but you will never reach your full potential and you will never progress as fast as you could. So in my example, when I first got on a road bike, I weighed around 72 kilos and had an FTP of around 190, 200 watts. So not super abysmal, but you know, nowhere in the realm of a real cyclist. Nowadays I'm around 60 kilos, so sub 60 now, around 59. My FTP is 315 watts, so quite a bit better. And this year I'm hoping to be a contender for wins in the races I've done last year, and yeah, in the time trials mainly. That's my strong point. So what do you need in order to achieve this kind of progress? So yeah, power meter. Then, aside from training, a couple of other things. So nutrition, that's very important. I don't really want to go too deep into this, but my main priorities are to have high carbohydrate, as high as possible in terms of calorie percentage, quite low protein, and as little fat as possible. This makes it the easiest to achieve a low weight, which in cycling is extremely important. In terms of regeneration, it's sleep. So many people kind of underestimate that, and then they can't properly recover. I usually go to bed at 10 p.m., 11 at the latest, and also get up quite early. It's quite necessary because, you know, I run two businesses. I run this YouTube channel, and I'm training quite hard in the recent period, and also I'm doing one of the hardest universities in the country. So if you're looking for an excuse, I can do this besides all these other things. So yeah, if you've got an excuse, you're just fooling yourself. But never mind that. In terms of actual training, what do you need to aim for? Well, many people suggest that you should start out with slow, steady, and long rides. Well, I'm going to tell you straight up, I've never done this. I find it quite boring and, you know, a bit frustrating to do, because at the beginning your power is so low that when you're doing an endurance ride you're going to go very slowly, and it's just frustrating. What I decided to do instead is first build up some solid power and really focus on the intensity to actually be able to put out some power. And if you have a decent power output, then zone 2 or zone 3, what's necessary for an endurance ride, is still going to be quite fast. So it will be much more enjoyable. But besides that, I have 3 kind of important aspects in training. So the first one, and arguably the very most important, is consistency, because your body will only adapt to the training load if you are doing it periodically and well, as often as you can, really. Because if you have let's say a 10-hour training week, then doing 2 5-hour rides at the weekend versus spreading it out to every day, it's going to be a night and day difference. Because, well, yeah, if you're not doing periodic training and consistent, you're just wasting your time. Very good and useful items that will help you improve your consistency, aside from your willpower, of course, and tenacity, are a good turbo training setup in general with Zwift. That's extremely helpful, really help you get you through the winter and those nasty days when you don't really want to go out. Again, consistency. And then high quality clothing for all kinds of weather. And to top it up, I have basically 3 sets for all kinds of weather. So 3 summer sets, 3 kind of in between, and 3 winter sets. And this again is just to help me gain consistency, because if you have the correct equipment, then you don't really have an excuse to not go out. So yeah, consistency, most important thing ever. Then the second one, intensity, and it kind of relates to the thing I've mentioned previously. I know many people who have been riding for years and years and years, and they are going nowhere fast, and that's exactly the reason. You know, bike racing is about going fast as possible, as every kind of racing. If you're not pushing yourself, then you're not developing your abilities to do so. So you have to focus on all aspects of racing. You have to focus on time trialing, so your threshold power. You have to do VO2 sessions just to be able to respond to the attacks and make your own anaerobic power. Again, very useful in attacks and getting into a breakaway. And then, yeah, threshold I've already mentioned. So you have to work on those higher levels of power if you want to actually achieve something. And then finally, duration or volume. Again, I think this is not as important as some might say. If you are doing pro level World Tour races or just elite level races, which are 3, 4, 5 hours long, then yeah, you need to work on your base, but it's not really base training. It's just to be able to cope with that kind of load, with the discomfort, and just to be able to spend all the time in the saddle while still being able to concentrate and race and dial in your nutrition. If you're doing events that are crit races, less than an hour long, then it's kind of pointless to really focus on endurance rides, because you're not going to need it. So yeah, these are the 3 points, plus some other comments that I have about my training. Of course, all of my data is out there on Strava. It's public, so you can check it out, what I'm up to. If you are a bit more advanced, you can look into some harder training plans, your training stress scores, and periodization. But in summary, what you really need to focus on is consistency, intensity, and then if you're doing longer events, then some volume as well. So yeah, no shortcuts. I think, well, many people have asked this, but I don't think I've really showed anything extremely new, but yeah, that's the way I see and build my training. If you want to look more about the equipment that I use, I have plenty of other stuff on the channel, so don't forget to check that out. And if you'd like to see more training tips in the future, then let me know in the comments, perhaps with your questions. And yeah, that's all for today. See you next time.